Joining us now in a Fox Business exclusive is General Motors CEO and the newly named head of the Business Roundtable, Mary Barra. And Mary, congratulations on heading up the Business Roundtable. I don't know when you're going to sleep, but that's amazing.
Well, thank you very much. I'm really honored to have the opportunity, especially following in Doug McMillan's footsteps. He's done a phenomenal job through an incredible period of time.
And your time there is going to be just as incredible because there's so many issues that are facing corporate America. I'll get to that in a second. But you and GM, I've got to talk specifically about what's going on in the EV world. You've made this very aggressive declaration that GM is going to zoom past Tesla in the EV race in 8 years by churning out 30 EV models by 2025. But just the two announcements today by Toyota and Foxconn could make this a whole new ballgame. How is GM's approach to this battle truly different?
Well, I think where we really distinguish ourselves is that we've already made considerable investment. Our dedicated plant, Factory Zero, is producing GMC Hummer EVs right now that will be, shipped to real customers by the end of the year. So we're excited about that. We already have 2 cell plants under construction. One will start producing cells next year. So while others are just talking about, making the investment, we're well along. And we think that's going to allow us, along with the fact that, General Motors, we have a full portfolio of vehicles for everyone's needs, the functionality they need from the vehicle, the segment, and also the price point. And that's where I think General Motors can, with our commitments, really make a huge impact. And like we do today, lead in the United States for selling the most cars and vehicles, set aside some of the COVID restraints, but also do that with EVs. So I'm really excited about the future product portfolio we're launching. But
there's no denying that Elon and Tesla have a multi-year head start on a lot of you guys. And I mean, how many of these vehicles that GM is going to churn out that'll be totally electrified will be ready to hit the market by 2022? I mean, that's just around the corner.
Well, we already have the Chevrolet Bolt EV and EUV, as well as the GMC Hummer that, as I mentioned, will be launched yet this year. And then early next year, we'll be launching the Cadillac Lyriq. And we have a steady rollout of EVs after that point, many of which we haven't announced yet, although we have announced also shortly thereafter we'll have the Chevy Silverado electrified truck. So those are just a few of the trucks we have, vehicles we have coming. So I couldn't be more excited.
You mentioned price point. Obviously, to get up to mass adoption scale, you got to have a really inexpensive one. I mean, Tesla's already said that a hiring program has begun for a $25,000 Tesla. I mean, they say there's going to be no steering wheel, so obviously that's autonomous. Made at his Shanghai Gigafactory that could be out by 2023. What point on the calendar is GM aiming for regarding the release of a very low-priced EV?
Well, we've already said that we'll have vehicles by 2025 in the heart of the market, the key segments. And we just at our Investor Day talked about a Chevy that's the size, about a C-size, crossover type vehicle that will be around $30,000. So that really gets at affordability. And we hinted, although we're not going to release more details today, we'll have one even more economical and below the $30,000 coming in the not too distant future. So we have a full portfolio planned as we roll out between now and 2025 and beyond.
Well, the investment's got to be huge. I mean, first it was a $25 billion investment in EVs you guys talked about. In and of itself, very gutsy. Then you hiked that to $35 billion. What are the chances, Mary, that $35 billion is actually going to have to rise again, not just because of competition, but we're also seeing inflation in materials, rising wages and price as well. I mean, this is insane times. Crude prices are going crazy. Do you think that that'll have to be on a sliding scale?
Well, we're very confident in the number of products in the battery facilities that are included in that $35 million. So, we're going to keep, we have a great team that does the execution, both from a vehicle side, from sourcing the parts that we need, and also doing the construction and the changeover of our facility. So we'll keep working through that and making sure we can do it as efficiently as possible. But we're going to keep looking for any opportunity that we think is going to help drive EV adoption in the marketplace and stand ready to make those investments.
Okay, so, I mean, it could change, is what I hear you saying. Does your announcement, though, that GM's going to double its revenue by 2030 account for what we've seen, which is pretty significant inflation, whether it's transitory as the Fed calls it or not, in the rapidly changing EV race, which obviously not only has these entrants from Volkswagen to, Foxconn in conjunction with Yulon in Taiwan. You got Fisker, Apple and Google as well.
Well, when we look at what our growth plan that we articulated at our Investor Day, foundationally it starts with we have a very strong ICE portfolio that we can build off of and attract customers into our electric vehicles. So we see growth from an ICE and an electric vehicle perspective. But also what's significant is some of the other businesses that we have, like autonomous with our cruise operations for ride sharing and goods movement, OnStar Insurance, all of the services that we can provide because the vehicle has become a software platform. So building on OnStar, and we've done quite a bit of customer research to understand what the customer is looking for and what they're willing to pay for. So we have a very robust plan behind our growth strategy.
It's almost as if General Motors is becoming not a software company, but a subscription-based company that could really capture that revenue. Tell me about that and how you anticipate it and the trajectory of it as the years go by.
Well, we think there's huge opportunity there, and we have a head start because we've had OnStar in the vehicle for 25 years. Right. We have a very successful subscription business with OnStar, either the safety and security side of what OnStar offers or the connectivity. And like I said, we've done a lot of research. We have a dedicated team working on the additional services, subscriptions, additions that we can provide to the customer that will, first, I think, surprise and delight, but also make it more efficient for them. So that is what gives us confidence, and we're building on a very successful OnStar business.
Well, that surprised and delighted at least some analysts that I've been watching as far as your GM and their recommendations, because they see recurring revenue as a true opportunity. I got to ask, because you mentioned the Cadillac Lyriq SUV. You guys have captured a cool factor with the all-electric Cadillac Lyriq, which sold out in, 19 minutes? Let me use this example, though. It's personal. Tesla just lured me away from Lexus, which I've leased one of their SUVs for something like 16 years. The Model Y is intuitive. It's cool. And I got a tire leak. It notified me. Then its mobile service showed up, the truck at my house on a weekend to fix it. What is your plan to lure someone like me away from Tesla?
Well, what customers have told us broadly is, first of all, they want beautifully designed vehicles. And the Cadillac Lyriq is the highest customer clinicking vehicle that we've had in my career. So we're very excited that it really is attracting new customers, as you evidenced by how quickly it's sold out. The second is having the right range, the right quality, the features, and then the support that you need, that we have been working with our dealers to transform the whole dealership experience, the buying experience, the owning experience. So I feel very confident that when people get in and have an opportunity to drive the Cadillac Lyriq, they're going to realize this is really luxury redefined.
Yeah, and obviously the Hummer in its reincarnation is all electric, 1,000 horsepower, 350-mile charge, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. But I want to go to batteries, because none of this works if you don't have the batteries. China has the strongest grip on rare earths, and those, of course, are the elements that are so critical to EV manufacturing. You've just entered a partnership with GE to develop a more reliable supply chain of rare earth metals and chemicals needed to make magnets for EVs and their batteries. Tell me how the GM and LG Chemical Lordstown Ultium battery plant, which is almost complete, is going. When will the ribbon cutting be set?
Well, the project is completely on track, and LG is a very important and strategic partner for General Motors. We've been working together for years. And so the project is right on track. We will be producing cells next year for our vehicles. So I think that speaks to the speed at which we're moving. And then we also do a tremendous amount of research. We completely agree with you that the battery is key to winning in the electric vehicle market. We're making significant investments, and we have technology roadmaps to take our costs down, and also, in some cases, to use less of those materials that are harder to get and actually, from a price perspective, continuing to increase.
LG's batteries, of course, were at the heart of the Bolt recall due to fires. LG is going to reimburse GM, but what changes have you demanded be made to avoid a repeat of the Bolt situation?
Well, of course, we have done everything to learn from what happened. This happened to be two unique manufacturing defects that, if they happened in the same battery pack, would cause the issue. And so we have worked in partnership with LG to, and one of the things General Motors brings to it is a tremendous amount of manufacturing expertise. So we've worked together to improve the manufacturing process. We're now building cells again and starting to replace either modules or packs for our customers. And so all of the learnings that we had from a manufacturing perspective have now been transferred and incorporated into Ultium. So I think some of the lessons we learned are going to benefit the industry. And sometimes when you're moving quickly from with what we're doing, you've got to learn those lessons and move forward. But again, LG has worked very collaboratively with us to solve these issues, and now we're moving forward.
The supply chain nightmare. Certainly it hit months ago with the chip shortage. General Motors obviously had to either slow down or cut some of the operations when it came to what's happening with the chips, because you just can't get enough. I know you guys don't manufacture them, but you obviously do have suppliers who buy them. As your supply chain has been gummed up and you grapple with the semiconductor chip shortage, you've made this incredible push to manufacture EVs at this torrid pace, but they're chip heavy. What do you do? And how have you changed that? And where is your worst supply chain breakage at the moment?
Well, you know, as we look at semiconductors, and also we've read across to all of the major subsystems in vehicles, not only our internal combustion vehicles, but electric vehicles, to make sure that we're going to have the supply we need to grow as fast as we want to grow. You know, in the near term, it's week by week. Actually, COVID has impacted, and we're starting to move out of that now. But in third quarter, we had a lot of impact due to COVID hitting some of the countries in Southeast Asia that caused them to need to shut down, which further impacted our supply chain. We worked with those companies, shared our safety protocols around COVID, and they're up and running again. We're going to either have, you know, a different supply chain arrangement or strategic partnerships that are going to allow us to have security or confidence that the supply chain is ready to support the growth that we see. And so don't have anything specific to share today, but there's a tremendous amount of work going on that we will share as we move forward.
Well, there's an urgency right now for every American business that manufactures anything, and you're taking over January 1 at the Business Roundtable. What would you tell the administration right now they must do immediately to fix these disruptions?
Well, I think actually there's a tremendous amount of work that the administration has already done. Secretary Raimondo of Commerce has worked with many different companies to understand the situation and put plans in place. I think the CHIP Act is very important. I think some of the funding that is provided for in the Build Back Better plan around infrastructure and beyond, I think are going to ultimately help make the supply chain better and bring work and jobs back to the United States.
Well, once again, congratulations on being the first woman to be named to the head of the Business Roundtable. That's a great accomplishment, and we are excited to watch these developments in the race for EVs. Mary Barra, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.